about SubseaUK and your current priorities?
Yeah, SubseaUK, we're a trade body, a trade association. It was formed a number of years ago in 2004. And we're really there to help the underwater community, the underwater engineering and technology companies in the UK to try and grow the business. Some of the key areas that we're working with the industry at the moment are things like underwater robotics, artificial intelligence, and this is a real area of specialism that we have because over the years, many decades, we've been building things underwater, but it's not so easy to get to them on a regular basis, so we've had to build special underwater robots like ROVs and autonomous vehicles and various things. So there's a big push on that kind of underwater autonomy and robotics at the moment.
And so just thinking about AI and robotics a bit deeper, why are those technologies so important?
Typically in the North Sea, when the oil and gas industry grew up in the 70s, we were working in relatively shallow water, and the way to get there was by putting divers in the water. But over the years, we've really been looking at trying to remove the person from the water, the diver, and we've replaced them with robots. And particularly when we go into deeper water as well, in different parts of the world, divers can only work to about 200, 250 metres. In some areas of the world, we're working down to 3 kilometres, 3,000 metres plus. So it's essential that we start introducing new technology to get to those places that it's rather difficult to get to. So robots and robotics is such an important part of the future for underwater technology.
Yeah, I see that. and where would you say the innovation is coming from in that space?
Innovation, we talk about these vehicles being able to go to the work site, but the real smart stuff is what they actually do when they get there. Things like sensors, like cameras, like laser technology to measure things, to see through sonar, for example, all these different technologies that can be bolted on to a vehicle that can take something to that particular area. So the really smart technology, for example, it might be inspecting something to make sure it's okay. We talk about in offshore wind using drone technology to go and have a look at the rotors. Well, it's the same. We want to send these drones underwater to go down and have a look to make sure perhaps where the cable has been laid, to have a look where the foundations are, because sometimes the seabed can move with the current, so we need to make sure that nothing's being undermined and everything's still intact. So it's a way of actually monitoring everything in its field of life, over the period. So operations and maintenance is a very important part of offshore wind. But also when we're installing things as well, we have to make sure that we're putting them in the right place. We've surveyed the seabed, we know exactly where things are going. So it's a very high-tech part of the industry, and often we forget about it because it's beneath the surface of the ocean and we don't really see that much. Yeah.
Too true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a space where there's an awful lot of cross-sector collaboration traditionally. To what extent do you think oil and gas companies have successfully transitioned into sectors like offshore wind?
Yeah, we talk about oil and gas companies, but the companies, they're not oil and gas companies as such. They're companies that specialise in working underwater, whether it's underwater hydraulics or control systems. They've supported an oil and gas industry as that has matured. But as the other sectors have appeared, such as renewables, those technologies are not specific to oil and gas. They can be transferred around a number of different sectors. So we have seen some much more, let's say, opportunity for companies to work in, say, oil and gas, but also in the defence sector and the offshore renewables, particularly offshore wind. So companies really have, perhaps in the past 3 to 4 years, seen that growth in the offshore renewables. So when we talk about oil and gas companies, I think we talk about the supply chain that supported the oil and gas companies. The supply chain can diversify and take their specific experience and capability to other sectors quite readily. It's just dealing with different end users, perhaps.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay.